Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel Planet Build, and good to have you guys back here at the Willow Grove Project. Today is part 10 and this will be a special part. Today we are going to actually do a real-time building video. That's a thing that I usually don't do. I usually do a speed build video with an intro, speed build section and a review afterwards. But today we're going to do, let's say, 60 minutes of real-time building. And the reason for that one is because I asked my subscribers what should be a nice upgrade to my channel, because I actually want to reach the 5K subscribers. That's my goal for now. And one of the options was to actually do some real-time building videos besides some park spotlights or ride or attraction spotlights. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a real-time building video, and hopefully that will actually help you guys by seeing how I build things, what choices I make within my park, how I build those things, and all the things that I do while I'm actually speed building. So that's what we're going to do today. The first thing that we're going to do is the planter area over here. So we got a lot of planters to fill, but also a small little seating area over here with some food and drink stands in the background. We are going to work on a small little seating area over here. This is just a area which still needs something to happen, so probably a seating area will do. Probably with one or two buildings where you can actually get some food or something to drink. And then last but not least, we are going to work on some planters within the pathway over here, and maybe add some more detail to this section. Excuse me, some detail to this section over here in front of our carousel. And that's basically it, and I think that will be enough for, let's say, 60 minutes. One thing I did not show you guys yet in any video when it comes to creating this area, that's a small little cave over here, and I got one on the other side as well who was actually finished. But this is the exit for the Mythical Madness coaster. Still need to work on that coaster, but I already made the exit just to make sure that I'm able to connect it to this plaza over here. And this cave is similar to the cave on the left side, and this is the thing that I'm always trying to do within my parks that I build or in my builds, is to have some sightseeing, to have something to see besides the rides, the attractions, the coasters, the shops, all the things that you can put into the game. I just want some sightseeing as well. So in this case, you got the option to go left, take the main pathway down to the stations over there or the carousel, or you can take a small detour and take this pathway over here into a small cave area where I actually made some cell blocks with some prisoners in it. Something like Azkaban, I guess. And I think this is a nice addition to my park. It also fits the scenery perfect, or the theming perfect of this area, the sorcery theme. And I think this is a nice addition. This is the thing that I've been always trying to add into my parks. So if you would actually tour this park or visit this park yourself, this is an, for example, yeah, Disney in Paris, you got the dragon underneath the castle. Not many people know about it. This is the thing that I tried to duplicate some sort of sightseeing thing like in Disney in Paris. Now the only thing I do need to add to this area, and I still need to add that to the rest of the area as well, are some speakers with some ambient sounds or some sound effects or maybe some music. And I think that you should always add some sort of music or sound effects or stuff like that to your park to create a little bit more realism. Yeah, so that's the thing that you haven't seen yet in any of my previous videos, but I've been working on that in my own time. And one tip that I can already give you guys is, I created this on my own time, and it's quite easy to just copy paste one of those cell blocks and use it just in a different way, but just in a way that it's not a duplicate than the other one, only by changing some things within this cell block, or maybe using a different size of stuff, or maybe rotating some stuff just to make sure that it's not the duplicate version of the thing that I already added into the park. but it makes it quite easier and much more quicker to complete some things within your park. This also still needs some work though, but it's a nice setup, first setup for this exit over here, which actually brings you into the plaza, and that's what we're going to work on right now, and that's actually the start of our real-time building. Now let's start with this planter over here, and one thing I'm not quite sure if I'm going to add it, but you get these staff members and you get the Vesper over here. I already added in this version of our Vesper in the town, the first section where you enter the sorcery area, but you also got a second version. So when you, yeah, it's like just randomly, I guess, but you get the second version of that Vesper. And I do believe that this small little area over here will, let's go ahead and pause it, will be a nice photo opportunity for this Vesper. Can we move it? Yeah, we can. I cannot put it on a non-path, so let's put it over there. And I think with the station in the backdrop over here, this is a nice opportunity to have a photo op with our entertainer. So I'm probably going to do that afterwards. Not quite sure if this is the best spot to add that in, so probably going to do that afterwards. Let's go ahead and start building. And like I said, I'm not used to multitasking, so I'm not going to speak for 60 minutes long. It's quite hard to actually do some building and talking at the same time. Not because I'm not English, but also because it's just, you know, it's hard to multitask, guys. It's quite hard. And if you hear those if you get any feedback on or any advice, if you actually know how to remove some background sounds, so you can now hear my mouse is like so loud and my keyboard is so loud when I hit it. If you got any good applications for that one or programs to actually remove those background sounds, that will be highly appreciated. Otherwise, if I would not be talking, you would just hear me using my mouse and keyboard, and that's not a thing that I want. So also see this as a sort of test version for the first real-time building within my for my channel and within this park. So any feedback would be highly appreciated. Now, if I do build my parks, the hardest part always is to get those first pieces in. So once you get some pieces within your area, it's quite easy to just duplicate them, reuse them, and the only thing that I always do try to attempt is to not use a singular tree or rock or stuff like that in the same way that I already use. So for example, if I would place this one over here in the exact same position as that one was, they're just duplicates. But if I would, and it's already on 50%, but if I would resize it, maybe rotate it a little bit, it's still a duplicate, but it is in a different size, in a different angle, and then I do believe it's a little bit more realistic to add two of the same types of trees next to each other. And that's what I usually attempt to do. So you get the same ones over here, you get the same ones over here, So I always try to make let's say a set of 2 or 3 of the same types of trees, but just in a different size and a different angle, and then combined with other trees around it, some foliage in front of it. I do believe that is closest to realism I can get. And then, like I said, when you got some pieces together, it's quite easy to reuse them, rotate them, resize them just a little bit to make sure that it's fit enough for that the planter that you're making right now. Sometimes you just don't have to cover up the whole planter. I think Frontier gave us enough options to actually, for example, this terrain work over here, if you would, what I usually do is I usually first start with the gravel, because there are those little stones. Let me upgrade the intensity. There are some little stones in this one, and then if you would, on the low intensity, add some other types of painting to your terrain work, it still keeps those small little stones over there. And then when you combine it with the meadow, I think that's a nice combination of paintings that you can get, or terrain styles within your park. And sometimes it's just a flick with your mouse, that's just enough to add the thing that you want. So now you got those little, small little yellow plants in between, those yellow flowers. And that's sometimes just enough to give it a little bit more detail. And then you don't have to cover up this whole area over here with some plants and bushes. And that's our first little planter. Now I made these custom borders over here, as you can see. You can add in these borders, saves you a lot of time, but one thing I do believe that Frontier should add are more types of those borders. So now you got the where are they, the railings. You got 5 different types of railings. I actually don't like them. The only one I like is this one over here, or the metal one, but I don't like the metal coaster railing, and I don't like the wooden beam railing. One thing they should add is maybe a little bit more options of those borders, because now I'm just using these small little things over here as my borders within this area. And that's just, you know, creating so many planters, just you're using so many pieces by adding in these custom planters. This is a set of 3 pieces, and I already got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within this area. So I'm probably going to, let's say, use 500 of these things to create my borders, and that's just a lot of work. So that's the thing that I've been doing in my own time already, and not in today's video. And one thing I do want to show you guys, if you ever would duplicate a building like this, because this is just a scenery group, a building, scenery group, whatever. If you would hit the Control Duplicate button, you can see it automatically resets to the original height. And you can try to put it down like this again, but then if you would duplicate again, it would go back to that original height. But I learned myself to use the Control X button to advance move this this scenery group, this piece, and then when you hit the move button, it stays on the same height as it was before. So you don't have to worry about that height difference anymore. You can easily, if I would hit the M button right now again, the move button, it stays on that same level. And yes, I know you can use the X button to move it and rotate it, but then you have to hit the X button again, move it forward, move it backwards. But the option to have it move around freely is much efficient than using the advanced move button. So that's a small little trick I learned myself to create these borders over here. So hit the Control X button to advance move this piece, and then hit the M button, and that will make sure that it's on the same height, and you can easily rotate it and place it around those borders. Saves you a lot of time, guys. So the first planter, like I said, I do want a photo op over here, but I'm not quite sure if I'm going to add it in now or maybe later. Let's see, I got my cup of tea over here. Let me take a sip of my cup of tea. Otherwise it's getting cold. Let's see what we can create over here. First of all, I'm going to use these buildings to add 1 or 2 shops, maybe some toilets. But I first want to remove the where is it? Customize brush. Yeah, the fence over there. Probably going to add in a custom fence just between this section, this one, and I do believe that one over there. And I got these, I used these ones already over here. I think this will be the nice height. I do need to change the color. It's a little bit too greenish. And I want it a little bit more brown over there. That's better. Oh, you guys will probably be so annoyed by my mouse. So let me know if you got any good solutions to that. So this is the exact same thing as I said before. If I'm hitting the duplicate button right now, it's on the original height, so it resets to the pathway. Now if I would hit the duplicate and advanced move button, so Ctrl X and then the move button, it stays on the same height. So if you ever would try to create those custom borders, don't use the duplicate button, which is the advanced move button, and then hit M for movement, and then you can easily move it around like this. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect, guys. And just to think about 3 or 4 on this side. I think 3 will do. Yeah, I think 3 will do. Let me add. No, I need rails over here. And I'm probably going to add a small little statue over here to just make sure that this section over here is nicely covered. And I also want a couple of 4 over on this side. And it's still bothering me that it's not the right color. It's a little bit too dark, but let's see what will happen if we get some foliage in the background. Okay, so we got that one. Then let's see, let's add some, I hate this one. I don't like this one. And I'm going to recolor those walls in the same color as I did with the ones over here. So let me just copy this one. Copy that one. Oh. That one, because I just wanted to have some more darker colors within this area over here. That one needs to be a little bit darker. There you go. Same for that one. And I think it's okay to have it not exactly the same. Those are 2 different types of bricks. I think that looks okay. This one is a little bit too red in my opinion. That's better. And this is a blueprint, by the way, that I saw on the workshop. Someone made this one, so quite happy with it. Download it. Why make it harder yourself when you can get some nice blueprints from other people? Let's get a shop into this building over here. Townhouse brick. Which one is it? It's over here. I want it exactly in the middle. And then I want this one. And I actually now realize that when I'm building, I'm just smashing my buttons on my keyboard so hard. That's insane. And I'm quite curious that when I actually would... is there one behind? Yeah, there's still one behind. What's that? What? I don't want the candle on the floor. There you go. Quite curious when I would hear this video. I'm just quite curious to see how that sounds. So hopefully it's not too disturbing. Otherwise I need a solution for that one, guys. What are we going to add into this one? Facilities, custom. Let's go ahead, add some pip shot juice. There we go. I want some toilets into this building. I need to adjust it a little bit. There you go. Toilets, toilets, toilets. Can't have enough toilets. I'm probably going to add it a little. Otherwise, if I would add it into the first grid over here, you would see the middle section of this building. So I'm going to add it to the back over there, and then just connect this pathway over here. Kind of disturbing to see this middle thing over here, and to make sure it's blended in as much as possible. Let's make it all dark in there. I think that's better. All right. Still need a food stand. Let's still need a food stand. I got my butterbeer over here, so we already got something to drink. You know what? Let's make this one a food stand. Let's go for hot dogs.
Hot dog squad.
Hot dog squad. There we go. Play button. And also a thing that I did for the original Willow Grove Park is recoloring all my staff members' shirts to the teal blue version. And there is no option to do this all in once, so you have to select them one by one and recolor their shirts. I did that for my security, I did that for my staff members, I did that for the entertainers, for everybody who is staff within my Willow Grove Park. Let's see, what else do we got over here? I still need to recolor this building. Make it a little bit more darker. And this one as well. This one needs to be darker. That one as well. And the size as well. Alright, there we go. Now let's go ahead and get some bushes again. And I got so many options to pick from. Just let's go for this over here. I think this will fit within this area. And it's okay if it's not perfect. You can, or if it doesn't fit perfect, you can easily rearrange one of those things. Let's go ahead and do that small little trick again with the gravel. with the meadow and with or either the soil or the soil debris. I prefer the soil debris. It has a little bit of that, not quite sure, but a little bit more texture than the plain soil. I don't like the mud. What happens with the mud? Let's go ahead and check out what the mud does. The sun reflects on the mud, see? And that's a thing I don't like. So, and it's actually quite harsh, the reflection. So I don't like the mud. Maybe some small pinches of mud would do, but not a lot of that mud over there. And yes, I know you can, or you need patience for this game. I think patience is key to actually build some large parks like this. It's also quite calming to make some parks like this, I believe. What's this? A pine tree. Let's see if I can. I'm going to add a pineapple. No. Give me a smaller one for this. And then I need some small bushes to cover it up. Still need to work on this thing over here, so I'm not going to add too much to that section. What else do we got? Got these ones. Creosote bush. And when you have to cover, what I usually do when I have to cover a little bit more space with these planters, mostly in the background, I do believe that you can easily resize it to the maximum and use one. But when you want to add more detail, the closer it gets to your guests, I do believe that downsizing is the best thing that you can do to create that realistic scene for the guests. I need a rock in there. Where's the rock? Get me with this one. And I did use the custom rocks. And I recolored them. I want this one. Now the other thing I was actually thinking about doing for my channel, besides doing this real-time build, are maybe some park spotlights. There are so many players actually creating some amazing things. I'm actually in a Facebook group, but also in a Discord group of Planko and Chill, and some people just make so much good things. Each time I watch some videos, I still learn on some other things that I don't do in my park, but other people actually do, and that also helps me improving my building skills. But one thing I still in doubt of is doing some park spotlights. I just don't visit a lot of other parks. I'm just watching some other YouTube videos about Planet Coaster 2, but not actually visiting one of those parks. So I'm quite curious if that will be a thing that I can do in the future, or maybe create a community park where I only use blueprints of other people. Let me get this section over here for our middle section here. So I'm still in doubt about doing something else for my channel, not quite sure what. I think this is a nice start. I know it's not that professional when it comes to the background sounds. I just bought the most plain basic microphone I can get online. Most plain basic keyboard and mouse. So in that opinion, or in that case, I'm not that professional. This one is a little bit off, so it needs to get a little bit more in the background. Alright. And then the same trick for this area over here. And I usually try to add just rocks and bushes and trees and stuff like that to my planters. Sometimes I do believe that's okay to add a little bit more detail. For in this case, I made a small memoriam sign for Hagrid with some frogs looking up to the sky. So you can add a little bit of those small little pillars or other types of scenery within your planters. So I could add one over here, for example. I did that in the town over here as well. Where is it? So I did added a frog over here, or some small little statues, like in this case the wizard on this size, or the witch. But those are small little details that I can add afterwards. Do I like this tree? I like it, but it has to be a little bit more further away from our I can upgrade it a little bit in size. That's it. What else do I want into that one? Some smaller, more flat looking rocks. I need to copy this. Where is it? Rocks. Just to get some small rocks into this section over here. So each time I place a similar type of rock or tree or anything that I'm placing at the moment, excuse me, I always automatically hit rotate and sometimes resize it. That's just, yeah, basic building in my opinion. Let's upgrade this one a little bit. And then only get those green ones in front of here. Need to downsize it a little bit, otherwise it's too big. And there we go. Let's get some seating in there, and I already used one of those in this section. No, first let's get these benches in. And that's why I on purpose made this circular type of, how do you say that, plaza over here, just to make sure that I can add in these things over here. There we go. Now the hardest thing actually that is it on the ground? Yeah, it's on the ground. The hardest thing for my Willow Grove project, the original park, was actually to create everything from scratch. So no blueprints from other people, no blueprints from within the game itself. And like I said, that was quite hard. But in this case, the game gave us so many standard blueprint buildings right now. So that's so much, that saves so much time for me to actually create this thing that, for example, the border over here are just blueprints. And it's quite easy to set up a small little border over here like this one, just reusing those buildings. So for example, the building over here are 3 types of in-game blueprints, and I just added those together, maybe adjusted it a little bit to make it fit this pathwork over here, but these are just the basic buildings that are in the game. So there are endless options over there. We need a small little plaza over here. Let's see how big this one is. I think it's too big. I'm going for the let's first place down a path. Otherwise, if I would delete it, it would not be perfectly round. Then put it on 1, then delete it, and then round it. And then let's see if I can get, no, if I can get one of these in there. And if you want to make a circular type of building or planter or anything that needs to be circular, just make sure that you always, if it is a mixture of pieces, make sure to always rotate it and put it into the opposite direction, just how wide you want it. If you would not rotate it and it's a group of pieces, it would be off if you would copy it and put it close to each other. So now let's go ahead and make one group of this, then edit this group, select all, and now if I would rotate it, it would connect nicely to each other in the same way it was. If I would not rotate this first one, it would not be lined up as perfectly as it would right now. So and the smaller you make those items, the best circular building you get. For example, you still got these edges over here which are not perfectly round, but I could adjust that, but then I have to make a smaller structure to copy. So if this would be half this section, it would be easier to make a nice circle than with these bigger pieces over here. But I'm okay with this one over here. And I just want a big tree in the middle. Let's go ahead and first put in some bushes to cover up the ground a little bit. And then add a firm, nice tree. I'm not sure which one though. That's too big. But I like the tree though. Ooh, I'm not sure which one to add. This is a thing that I can like spend 5 minutes trying to figure out which type of tree fits this area the most, or this planter the most. And in this case, I'm like, this just blocks off this building over here. That's okay because it's the toilets. And I do believe that's sometimes it's quite good to not see the whole area at once, so there's still some structures behind. So I think I'm going for this one over here. It's not a type of tree I use within this area, only in the background, so I think it's a nice addition to this area. Yeah, happy with that one. Last planter, guys, over there. It's a little bit too big for this one. I like these trees though, and the fig trees within this area. I think those are perfect with the darker colors I use within this area. These are too big. These need to go. These need to go. Can use them in the middle though, but what else do we got? I need the smaller ones. Smaller ones are over here. Still need a tree in this section though, 1 or 2. Definitely going for one of these. These are probably the best to use for the sorcery area. Gives me the most Harry Potter vibes if I look at these trees. Ooh. Can I not make it smaller? Oh, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. These need to be smaller though. And if you notice over here, these are benches where you can actually sit on. So I just made a small little pathway over here. And underneath this block over here is a bench. So you can actually sit on these benches over here. And I think it's good to have one of these types of benches within your park, tucked away in those borders, and not only use those standard benches which are in the game. I like them though, but they are always on your pathway, and I do believe that it's actually quite good to have one of these types of benches in your park as well. Now let's see, because I want a downsize it a little bit. And these are just the lavender bushes, which I just recolored green. Could have used the purple ones though, the lavender color, but I prefer these ones. Now let me get some small rocks in. I'm definitely going to add some background music to this video. Otherwise those moments where I don't speak and have to think about what I'm actually building are not that silent. So I need a larger tree in here which covers a little bit of the pathway as well. Let's go ahead and see which one. I like this one though. I don't use it that much because I don't like the leaves on this one. It looks a little bit blurry. This one has a little bit more realism in it, and this one doesn't, so I'm not using that one a lot. I like the big one though. It should be a perfect one to, like for example over here, cover a lot of ground in the background over there, but not up close. Which one do I want? No, that's too big. Which one do I want? I like this one though, probably. This is the biggest one. Let me go for, yeah, this one's perfect. It's just a little bit over that pathway over there. It's the same as that one, but if I would resize it a little bit or downsize it a little bit, it's the perfect tree to fit that section over there. And then the only thing left to do, standard procedure, gravel, a little bit of meadow in between, just some flicks somewhere in between. And maybe if you would ever visit one of my parks, you probably would not notice this, but yeah, this is just me having the best time of my life creating these planters. That's probably the most or the best thing I like about creating these parks over here, by adding in all these bushes and stuff like that. Let's see, what do I need? I got some custom bins. This one. So it's just a barrel with a bin in it. So you got the, and it's perfect for this barrel over here. Let's put one over here on this side, and one over here, and one over there. Still need to do some terrain work on this side over here. Oh, wrong one. It's a little bit too dark, or too meadow next to this over here. Yeah, there we go. And I do believe this is the best moment to actually pause, get myself something to drink, and then go further, let's say within 1 second. Okay, I got myself something to drink, guys. While I was actually catching something to drink, I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and remove this. Oh, I want to remove it, thank you. Remove these and also the curbs on this section, and I'm just going to use these fences over here all the way on this side. And I'm only going to use it on this side, not on this side. Just going to cover up those borders on this side of the what do you say, that small little plaza area. And then eventually, when this rock structure over here and the inside is finished, I'm going to add a small little centerpiece statue onto this end over here to mark the end of the fence. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side as well, all the way up into the station. And looking at the clock, I'm not quite sure if we're going to make it within 60 minutes. Probably will be longer, but you know, like I said, it's just the first time me doing this. And then I actually realized how slow I sometimes build my the things that I actually create. Ooh, this is hard. This is hard. I can put it down a little bit. Get a small bush in here. No one will notice this. No one will notice. No, they will not notice. Okay, that's perfect. You know what? Let's go ahead and copy this whole thing over here without the trees. I use it on this side. And again, no one will notice. No one will. Especially if I'm going to use those rocks just in a little different place than the other one. They will not know. So don't tell anybody that I just copied this section over here, or that planter section, and use it into this area. And that's what I also said in the beginning of this this speed build, not the speed build section. It's not a speed build section. Keep on saying that. Then I said in this building section. So when you sometimes get some pieces together, it's quite easy to copy it and use it in a different way or different size or stuff like that. So no, don't like that one over there. It can go over here. Same counts for this one. And then the bigger one can go over here. And we're actually getting into that section where it becomes a little bit more background. So it's not that highly visible for guests. Now I do got the train over here passing by, so it needs to look good from both angles. But that will be a thing I'm going to do when I'm actually going to create all the scenery for that train over there. But for now, I do believe from this point of view within this small little plaza over here, it's doable. I need that big rock, this one. Add it over here. Yeah, that's great. Now last but not least, you guys know the drill. Gravel, soil, and some meadow in between. Okay, perfect. What else can we do within this area? We got this small little section over here, doing that later. I did made some custom planters within these barrels just to place down randomly throughout my park. And again, they probably look the same from each angle, but each time I would place some of these, I'm just automatically rotating them to make sure that they don't look the same from each direction. One over there and one over here. Are we still missing out something? Yeah, we're missing these things over there. Let's see, I got them already fixed over here. This just to create enough lighting within this area. Now I want it over here. You got the small little not nicely curved area over here, and that's probably the best to add one of these. This one needs to move a little bit further. And it's just randomly. I'm not going to count how much is in between those lanterns. I'm just going to put them randomly onto some sections. One over here, not nicely lined up over here, so this is the perfect place to place one. Again, over here. And I did added some lanterns to this pillar on purpose, just to make sure that there's enough lighting in this area, but also a nice little how do you say that, ambience within this area. Mostly when you build, you do forget to add lighting to your park, and in this case, by using these things, it just makes it easier for you to not need to add in that much lighting when you finish your park. So now there's lighting everywhere on the buildings, on those borders, and then the only thing that I do need to do is add in some lighting that I'm probably going to hit underground to highlight the trees or some of the trees within this area. And that should do it for this area over here. Let's go ahead and focus on some pathways, because the first thing that I usually do when I make an area like this, I start with a small mock-up, a small layout of my area. So I just draw some pathways, randomly order mostly in a curved way. So I'm always trying to get those curves into my pathways. But it's inevitable to have wide pathways like this. But in my opinion, sometimes it's just too wide. So in this case, this area over here is too wide, but also there's nothing in between that blocks the view of this area over here. So I want something in between over here, and that's where all these planters come in. Now I made some custom planters over here which actually fit the circular stamp of the pathway. So what I could try to do is use one of these over here, but that still keeps me with this wide path over here. So I'm probably going to duplicate this one, but this one is, I think, just a little bit too long. So I'm probably going to first, let's maybe remove this tree, give me a little bit of space to work with. Probably going to narrow it down a little bit, and I think that will be over on this side. So let me see what happens if I would remove these ones. Just a little bit too high though. And I need to line it up. And then eventually let me line up this one over here to cover up that small little error. Oh, I forgot to copy that one. And then remove this one. There we go. And now we got, I'm going to line it up with this planter over here, just to keep those curves a little bit connected to each other. And then this one is a little bit unnecessary. I don't want those benches facing each other. So this one will be over here. This one will be over here. And then this one will be removed. Now the only thing left to do, because this is just the same border as I used, or the same planter that I used within the other areas. The only thing I need to do is just add some different types of rocks, just to make sure that it's not looking like a duplicate of the first one that I used. And then eventually I need to remove the pathway underneath though. Let me do that first. There are probably some better ways to remove the pathway underneath this one. But eventually the edit tool will help me remove this nicely and make sure that it's connected nicely to that planter. I need to remove those fences though. This one over here. And then, where is it? Customize brush, off, okay. All right. And now it's still not blocking off the view, but we got a solution for that one, and that is just very simple, placing one tree in between. Oh, this is the same as those two, so I'm probably going to pick another one. And no, I'm not going to pick the same one as I did over here, because that will be making a duplicate of this one. So I think this one will do. Yeah, that's nice. I love that. I have no idea how long we've already been building. So not quite sure, but decisions, guys, decisions. You know what? Let's go ahead and make this small little plaza over here, and then on my own time I'm going to add in these planters over here. You guys know how this works. It's quite easy. Let's go ahead and create that small little section over here before ending the video, otherwise it would be just too long. Let's see which ones I can use for this. Not too big, probably one or two. Tucked away a little bit between those trees over there. I do believe this is too large. Let's see how it works out with this one next to it. No, I want this one over here. This one is the same as in the other sections. This one is the same. I hate that. Excuse me, I hate that it's the same. So you got small one, big one, small one, big one. I don't like that. But what I could do is, yeah, I'm going for this one, and then I'm just going to remove the building on this side. Let me first move that away a little bit, like that. Remove this, 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 this. This can go up. Remove, what's this? This is way too big. Let me see if I can get another one in there, which I actually do like. Can I resize this one? I can. Do I get a canopy? That's ugly. I'm just going for this, I guess. Not quite sure if I'm going to leave it like this. Okay, then let's add in. Go ahead with chief beef. And in this one, let's go ahead and add something to drink. Drinks. Let's go ahead with so delightful. So delightful. Oh, there's no, it's not connected to a path. Where do I want my seating? I want it a little bit from this side over to that, and then over there. I guess that will do. Let's go ahead and see if we can create that. And I can easily connect this better a little bit later. First, I'd get those lines in a little bit. Just like that. just like that. Ooh, it's perfect. And just like that. Still need to remove the pathing under this one, so for now we'll do. Oh, and I hate this sometimes when you got a perfectly lined up pathway and then you not on purpose, but you hit the, if I would hit the left mouse button right now, it would be deleted if it says edge cannot cross itself, so you have to be careful with that one. Okay, so we got this right now. I'm not quite sure if this is the right planter now for this space. Probably going to use a custom planter with different types of shapes in here, but we're basically going to do the same as we did in the other side for that plaza. Just go ahead and open this one. Where are those things? Those picnic benches. One here, one here, one here, one. So easy. And then I want the umbrellas or the parasols. Ooh, it's a little bit close to each other. I need to remove one. Otherwise those umbrellas would interfere with each other. And there we go. And again, I'm turning all these umbrellas just to make sure that they're not lined up all just like this, but in a different way to make it look a little bit more different than the other one. Remove this one, and then let's see if we can create a custom planter over there which fits nicely within this area. Let's go with the circle first and then adjust a second. Oh, why am I rotating the circle? That's how much I rotate all my pieces that I'm even rotating the circle one. That's so unnecessary. Over here. And let's see if I can. And why am I using the circular stomps to delete this pathway? That's mostly because I want the best possible curve within this planter over here. And sometimes when you would have a, see what it does, and that's probably because this pathway over here is connected by different types of pathways. So you get squares, you get, and then I used some freeform pathways. So it's quite hard to get those curves in nicely. But eventually when you would use the edit tool and the rounding tool, that would help you create the best circular shape, or keep those circular shapes as natural as possible and not these weird little pinches over here. I don't want those in my planters. And then eventually, if it's not that perfect, it's okay, because I'm going to add these custom borders in, so those will definitely cover up a lot of those errors. This one needs to be a little bit to the outside over here. Let me get this one over here. Can I not just fix this with my stone builder? Yes, I can. This one needs to be a little bit more to the inside. Otherwise it's too narrow over here. I want them both quite similar when it comes to the narrowness over there. Narrowness, is that a word, narrowness? This one needs to be a little bit over there. And then if I would use the rounding tool now. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Now let's remove the railings and the curbs. And not quite sure, am I going to bother you guys with adding in all those custom borders? You guys get the idea, right? You know, let me just add in these custom borders and then we'll do a small jump forward where I did add it in these custom borders. So that should do it for the borders of our planter. And again, on purpose, I made a straight line over here where I'm going to remove 3 of those borders. You know what, let me keep one over here because that's where I'm going to add in a small little bench. And I do need to make sure that I have some pathways over here where the bench is actually on, otherwise the guests won't actually sit on those benches. Let me do it a little bit better. Just like that. Just like that. And then remove just a little bit of that pathways, of that pathway. That's just enough, I guess. Let me get, where is the, where are they going? This is one. Now I do need to get this a little bit higher. Let me make one building of this without the benches and without the pathways. Still one over here. And up it just a little bit, like that. Right, so now we got 2 benches in between that planter. And then last but not least, let's get for that thing over there. I thought it was bigger, but I guess it's not as big as that one over there. But that's no problem. I need to downsize it a little bit. This one is already at 50%. Let's put it in the middle then, and then let's put this one over here. And this one a little bit more into the middle. And this one a little bit more to the side. And then let's add another one over there. There we go. And maybe it was a little bit too much for this planter. I thought it was bigger. Could have done it all without actually copying the other one, but it's okay. Let me get some small rocks into that as well. Nope, smaller. This one. That one. That one. That one's too big. And another one over here. Right. And last but not least, for that section, oh, wrong one. Meadow, please. All right. So small little plaza over here. It's not finished, but I actually do believe that it's like 90 minutes or so. So I do believe it's time to wrap up this video. You guys get the idea. The only thing I need to do for this small little plaza over here, or the small seating area over here, is just some planters on the outside over this section and this section. And then you get a nice, lovely seating, additional seating within this area. You get a nice glimpse of this small little scenery over there. You get a nice glimpse of our carousel over there. And with the addition of this seating over here, I do believe that the only thing we still got left to do for the most part of this area are these planters over here. Probably going to add in, I can do that. I can do this one. Let me hit pause. This one, is it okay if I can put it into? I think this is, let it down just a little bit. Yeah, let me open up that one. Yeah, that's great. That's a nice addition to this plaza. And the only thing I need are these things over here. And put it over there. Where's the bin? Where's the bin? Here's the bin. And a bin over here. And I think that's a nice addition to this small little seating area over here. And like I said, the only thing left to do is some detail work on this section before I can actually start working on our Mythical Magnus coaster, which starts over into this section and then goes all the way around this sorcery area into underground sections, going through the sorcery area or the sorcery town over here. Getting backwards to this uphill section before going into that third section underground, all the way back into that castle. Another thing, that will probably be a speed build video. I hope you guys enjoyed this real-time building video. Like I said, not quite used to doing this stuff. I hope you guys liked it. Leave a like if you do, leave a comment if you get any feedback. Yes, I know I can use some noise cancelling when it comes to my mouse, but also with the buttons on my keyboard, I can imagine that being quite annoying. But I do believe we made some amazing things today. We added so much detail and so much scenery to our sorcery area. I'm quite happy with it. And yeah, like I said, leave a like if you like it. Subscribe. My goal is to hit that 5K subscriber mark. And yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Stay safe. Thank you for watching. And until next time. Bye bye.